Fiero fans, welcome back to the channel. And I just want to give you a little update video on what's going on with the Fiero. It's a 1986 Fiero SE, and when I got it, it was being sold as a parts car. So I bought the whole thing, and I've decided to figure out what was wrong with it and get it running again, and basically rescue a Fiero. So when I got it, there was no battery in it. So of course, first thing I had to spend money on is the battery, and put a battery in it and turned it over. We have a no spark condition. So knowing a Fiero, and especially the 2.8, the ICM is the first place you look. Okay, here we go. I'm all set up. Got Mr. Board in place, holding my deck lid open. And I'm going to try and put an old used genuine GM part in here to replace the ignition module underneath the distributor cap. So here we go. Good luck. Okay, I'm going to remember that this is the #1 spark plug wire. #1 spark plug is right here. #1 spark plug on the distributor is right here. It's right next to this bad boy. Okay, so 1. You can label your wires and label your distributor cap, but on the Fiero GT, it's really easy to remember. Fiero GT, Fiero SE, 2.8 liter on the Fiero. The firing order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and it's 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. All right, so that's how you can remember how to put your wires back if you don't want to label them, if you don't care to label them. If you feel like you're a super mechanic like me, kidding, of course. But that's how I do it. Just remember 1 is right here. Because if you get these wrong, then your timing will be off and it won't start, and you'll be beating your head against the wall, like I've done in the past. Anyway. All right. Distributor cap has 2 screws on either side. You can use a Phillips or you can use the appropriate socket, but it's just easy enough to take it off with the Phillips screwdriver. You don't have to use a lot of pressure when taking it off or putting it back. Make sure you screw it out all the way. There you go. Simple as that. It's really rusty underneath here, so eventually I think I'm just going to pull out the distributor, but right now I'm not going to. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, look how black that is in there. I think I've got another one of these off my old GT that I will replace that way. And that is not the magic of YouTube. Literally, I had thrown a bunch of parts in a coffee can that's right by my elbow, and this was in the can. So, bam, there you go. Oh, whoa. I just noticed that tab was missing off the old one. That could be a problem. Bad problem. That is interesting. Throw that baby away. All right. See, when you jump into a project like this, you don't know what the old owner did. So I'm gonna take you off the stand, Your Honor. I'm looking at a pickup coil that has cracks in the wires. So I'm gonna be replacing those at some time. You know what time that is? Another time. Because I really like to waste time, you know, by doing unnecessary things first. So we'll replace this ignition control module. And of course I didn't pick up any thermal paste, so don't do as I do. Get yourself some thermal paste, not the other kind of paste that everybody talks about. Whatever. They're always like, oh yeah, you can use blah blah blah. Well, guess what? Don't use that, because it's not going to transfer the heat like you want it to. Oh yeah, that boy, really rusty. Okay, so I've got a 7/32 ratchet, and it's ratchet. Just kidding. All right, just loosen up those screws. They're usually not very tight, because you sure don't want to over tighten them, because you're tightening into aluminum and it strips really easily. So I'm just going to loosen them up, but I'm not going to take them out because I noticed that I didn't take that last clip off in the back. And that one requires a little screwdriver. Let's see if I can do something like that. There we go. Pop it off right quick. There you go. Pop that off real fast. Like I said, that goes to your pickup coil, and on my last Fiero, those wires were crispy and had nicks in them. These seem to be okay, but I don't trust them. Eventually, since they're on there, I'm gonna go ahead and use it. But a little later, if I can get this thing running, I don't like the way they look. Anyway, if I can get this thing running with that pickup coil, I'm just going to have to pull the distributor and put a new pickup coil. Of course, clean up all that rust and whatnot. But anyway, that's not this video. This video is replacing the ICM. Okay, if you get on the Fiero forums, if you get on Fiero Facebook pages, whichever one you choose, and somebody, a new Fiero owner, will always ask or say, my 85 GT was running fine, it was a stop line and it died. It just died. It was running fine, it just died. What could be the problem? Because it won't restart. And everybody in the comments will be like, ICM, 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 ICM. Like, change it, change it, change it. I mean, so if you're a new Fiero owner, this is how you change this. I mean, it's so common. It's just you don't even think about it. It goes wrong, you change it. Okay, so here's the deal. You've got your 2 clips on the bottom pulled off. You got your clip on the top pulled off. That goes to your pickup coil. So the next step is to remove those 2 screws. It shouldn't be super tight. You're not gonna have bear down on them. You're just gonna back them out and get your fingers in there and pull them out the rest of the way. Because remember, when you reinstall this, don't bear down on those, because you're screwing into. I mean, I wouldn't even suggest using a ratchet on this, but my little helper took my screwdriver handle, socket, whatever you call that, and ran off with it. So I'm using a ratchet. Normally I wouldn't use a ratchet on this, because you can easily strip that out. And I've done that before. And then I've gone and got a nut and bolt, tiny nut and bolt assembly, and put that on instead. And it's just a real pain. So just avoid making my mistakes if you can. Alright, so the screws are out, the 3 clips are off, and you just wiggle that thing out of there. Now it's sitting on 2 little studs, and voila, made in Hong Kong. Let's see what that says. It says manufactured by Standard Motor Products, Star Bang or something like that. There you go. Now standard. So it's standard. And dielectric grease. That's what they always say. Oh, you can use dielectric grease. Well, au contraire. This has nothing. I'm going to just do that. Say, yeah, use some of that. There you go. That's enough. Factory. GM. So there you go. When you reinstall your ICM, you don't want to use dielectric grease. You want to use thermal paste. It's different. It's not the same. So that's how it's done. And of course, reinstalling is just a reverse. Okay, I'm not really all thumbs, but of course I don't have a super setup on this, so I'm doing it all with one hand. Alright, so you line up your holes. There you see it sits on top of those 2 pins, and so when you wiggle it, it shouldn't move, just barely move. Okay, so it's sitting on top of those 2 pins. When it's sitting on top of those 2 pins, then you know it's ready to put the screws in. There you go. Cut to live action. There you go. Whatever happened to Turtle Man? I miss seeing that guy. Live action. I like this little thumb screw setting here. Basically looks like hand. See, I'm not gonna turn it hand. It's just gonna be hand tight. I'm not even gonna use the wrench, because just remember, these are super long screws. You saw how long they were. Just hand tight. When it says it's tight, it's tight. Just stop. Just stop moving your fingers. All right? You don't have to bear down on it. I'm putting that clip in at the top from the pickup coil. Clip. See, it just clips on right there. 2 on the bottom. You know, let your fingers do the walking, it's a snap, you know, you remember that? Old commercial. AT&T, Ma Bell, put you right through. There you go. Just push it on there until it snaps, so it's all in place. Brand spanking new. There's a notch in there. Make sure that notch is lined up with that notch. Bam. Just like that. So always remember what you did on here. Don't just take a second, remember, put your screws in, put your pickup coil. It's easy to forget that red one on top, and then it won't start and you'll wonder why, until you tear this all apart again and see that you missed a step here. Now here's the good thing about having more than one Fiero. Your garage becomes the old parts bin that everybody talks about.
Come on. Nope. Guess what?
Alright, that's the Black & Decker Sparkulator 6000 in the words of Derek from Vice Grip Garage. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. In the words of my dad, well, I'll be cow kicked. This may not be all my problem, but it certainly could be a big part of the problem. I believe I'll be getting some spark plug wires tomorrow. This concludes this portion of this fiasco. So, all right. Thanks for joining me on my journey. Until next time. Next, went inside and listened for the fuel pump to run, and the fuel pump wasn't running. I just went ahead and dropped the tank, cleaned out any rust that was in the fuel tank, very clean tank, and replaced the fuel pump. And that's just basically, you know, if you don't know that the fuel pump's been changed, it's probably a 35-year-old fuel pump. You might as well change it anyway. So we went ahead and did that, and but it didn't fix my fuel pump problem. I pulled up the console in the interior of the car, and mice had been in there and chewed some wires. So my son-in-law fixed those wires, and long story short, we got the fuel pump running with the key on in the car. And thanks to Fiero Brian, he gave me some tips on how to troubleshoot, you know, the relay, the using the ALDL to ground out the pump wire and test it on the inside of the car. But anyway, so fixed that problem, and the car still wasn't running. It was backfiring when it would run. And so what I did is took the distributor out and replaced the pickup coil. And once I did that, I could get it running by punching the fuel pedal. So what I've done is I removed the fuel rail, and I'm in the process right now of replacing the fuel injectors. So that's where I'm at. The car is sitting idle now, but right now I'm collecting parts. For instance, I had parts in the trunk. It's totally a basket case. The parts that were in the trunk, I had 2 driver's side headlight buckets and no passenger side headlight bucket. So I went to the junkyard and I forgot which side it was, and I bought a 3rd driver's side headlight bucket. So today I went back to the junkyard and I found me a passenger side headlight bucket. I also found the torsion bars that go in the back. The hood won't stay up, the deck lid won't stay up. So I got the torsion bars today, and you know, this weekend we'll throw those in. As far as the interior, it was missing a passenger door panel. I've got one of those from the junkyard, and just waiting to put it in. My top priority when I get a Fiero is to get it running first. I don't clean it. I haven't cleaned anything on it. The way I look at it, what's the sense of cleaning a car that doesn't run? Okay, my top priority is get it running. That'll give me motivation to clean the rest of the car, to get it, you know, to fix all the little things, you know, the taillights that won't work, or the, you know, headlights that won't go up and down. I don't care about any of that if the car is not running. So that's where I'm at right now. It's a waiting game right now as I wait for the fuel injectors to come in. But that's where I'm at, and you know, we'll follow this build if you want, and please like and share and subscribe to the channel, and the more subscribers I get, the more I'm able to put out more content. Okay, so if you could just do that for me, I sure would appreciate it. You have a great day. So I got a day off work. I figured I'd give a little update on the Fiero and how it's going. Start from the beginning. We towed it home, and you know, of course, you jump in and hopefully it fires right up. Of course it didn't, so had to put a battery in it, and just to see, you know, what's going on. So after putting the battery in it, there you go, I don't know, AutoZone battery, and it would turn over, but it wouldn't fire. And we did a spark test on it, and there was no spark. So I put an ICM in it, ignition control module, and after putting the ignition control module in it, we got spark, but it you know, the best it would do is turn over, and we had no fuel going to the fuel rail. So Did some testing inside. I used a jumper wire on the ALDL, so I couldn't get the pump to run. And so we dropped the fuel tank, which is, you know, normal for a Fiero. After dropping the fuel tank and putting in a new fuel pump, I jumped the wires in here and the fuel pump would run, but it wouldn't run with the key. So I checked back here underneath the console and found out that mice had been in here and chewed some wires. So after connecting them wires back, we got it to run with the key. So that gave us fuel back here. Once we got fuel back here, we could get it to run, but it was backfiring really bad. So what I did is I took off the distributor and replaced the pickup coil underneath there. Now we put it back. We could get it to run if I pumped the gas pedal really hard. I could get it to run. So the engine sounds fine, but it won't hold an idle. You know, it just won't stay running unless you pump the pedal real hard. So I took off the fuel rail and I'm replacing the fuel injectors, and you know, they're pretty crispy. I'm sure these are originals. So a week from this coming Friday they should be in, and so not this weekend but the next weekend, who knows, we could be running. I mean, that seems like the only thing that's holding it back. Now of course I've got many other issues. I've got taillights that won't work. I've got headlights that don't work. I've got dash lights that blink on and off when you turn on the headlights. So a lot of fun, but one step at a time. We'll get her back on the road. So anyway, thought I'd give you a little update. There she is. Now there's I have to give a couple shout outs. Number one, Mark Clay. Mark Clay has supported this build by offering me a wiring harness, which is, you know, with the mice chewing up some of the wires. That was a great big help. His channel is Lost Not Forgotten, and he's got the home swap garage. And if you haven't seen it, it's pretty interesting. He's rebuilding his dream Fiero, and he's got the 3800, and he's just making the Fiero exactly like he wants it. And big shout out to Garageless. And I wouldn't be standing here doing this video if it wasn't for Garageless. I saw him, and his channel's way different than mine. He's got a 3800 race car with a twin turbo, and he's a color for character, man. The stuff he comes up with, man, it just cracks me up. But big shout out to him, and please watch his channel and subscribe to his channel. Lightspeed Fieros. They've got the LSJ Fiero project, and if you haven't tuned into them, please subscribe to their channel, watch their videos, because it's just something totally different than anything else that anyone else is doing out there on the Fiero community. Ronald Finger has a series. He's totally rebuilding from the ground up an 84 or an 85 Fiero base model. But boy, that guy is meticulous. He's everything I would like to be as I'm rebuilding a Fiero, but I will never be that detail oriented. But he's really doing a great job, and those videos are sure worth a watch. Outside of the Fiero community, Vice Grip Garage. Now he's an owner of a Fiero. He has a Fiero. He hasn't really got into in depth on it on his channel, but that's coming soon. But if you like classic cars and you like humor, then he's a good channel to watch. Okay, he acts like he's just a hillbilly that doesn't know what he's doing, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a great mechanic. And of course, Watch JR Go is one of my favorite channels. He's had a Fiero on his channel. I'm encouraging him to do a Fiero on his channel. LSX Matt. I don't know if you've seen his channel or not, but if you like 80s Pontiac, 80s Camaros, he's a guy that I watch, and once again, I'm trying to get him to do a Fiero in his channel. But anyway, that's the update, and enjoy the videos, and please like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.